Hi guys, God bless you all. Welcome to my YouTube channel. Today's a very special day because I have my little sister
Karol and
here with me, and we're just so excited to get to talk to you guys today about a very important topic, and that's education. So I will give a little bit of background about me: bachelor's in sociology and international studies, and if God's willing, this summer I'm going to be starting my master's at Johns Hopkins.
I'm Karol. I'm a second semester freshman at Berry College. I'm currently an undeclared major, but the first one I'll be declaring is French, and after that, wherever the Lord leads me.
That is amazing. And today we're going to be talking about 5 things you need to consider
when applying to college.
It's going to be really important. And so we're going to briefly cover the topics that we're going to be discussing, and then we'll go in depth into each one. So the first one is, who do you want to be? Then the high school prep that you need to do. 3rd, the application process. 4, deadlines. And 5, you need to decide. We're also going to be talking a little bit about the process if you're undocumented or if you're an international student. So stay tuned to the end to hear more about that. The first thing you want to ask yourself is, who do I want to be? Where do I see myself from here until 10 years from now? I need to choose a career that makes me passionate, that makes me happy, and that gives me money. So all of those things need to be considered.
For sure. And then for us as Christians too, for the people watching us, the real question you gotta ask is, what does God want me to do? Where does God want me to be? Because we have our own plans, but in the end, God can be like, He wants you to do something completely different. So first thing you should be doing is pray. And then I can't stress enough the power of prayer. And then your parents, your counselors, your advice, maybe they see some things in you that you don't see in yourself. So keep your options open and consult God, consult your parents and your counselors as well.
That's amazing. So that's really important. So right now, if you're watching this, pause this, take a little pencil and write some of those things down, whatever God has laid on your heart. The second thing you need to do is do your high school prep. Now, I know that maybe some of you guys are not in high school, but for those that are, these things are really important when applying to college. So the first one is,
do well in your classes.
Yes. You want to do really well in your classes, especially the ones that kind of attract you, because that's going to help you in college. You want to show your counselors, your admissions counselors, that you are a well-rounded student. The second thing you need to do is talk to your counselors. I know that there's a little miscommunication between students and counselors, but honestly, take advantage of them. They know the college process, they know how it's done, so they're going to be able to guide you when you go talk to them.
And your counselors, we're going to talk about this a little bit later, but recommendation letters. Your counselors for some colleges are also required to write recommendation letters. So the more you go and talk to them, the more you get to know them, the better letters they can write for you.
Yes, and you also need to be involved. Get into your school clubs, organizations, volunteering opportunities, board, band, music, all of those things. Make sure that you're involved in school because they want a well-rounded student. The other thing you want to analyze is making sure that you're talking to your parents. The application process for college is it's a time-consuming process, and you need their help. You're going to need their help financially. You're going to need their support. So sit down with your parents and talk to them about this process. Now we're going to talk about finding the right school for you. Ooh, this is where it's at. What school should I go to? What school looks the best for me? And so there are about 5 things that we're going to discuss within this thing that's going to help you make a decision. Okay, so the first thing is finding a school that offers the career or the majors that you want to major in. That is so important. You want to go to a school that offers the kind of career path that you want to take, that offers opportunities within that. So making sure that you find a school that fits those things. What is the school known for? Do they have classes that sound interesting to you? Do they have a business school? Do they have a nursing school? Those are all things that you need to consider when choosing a college. Yeah.
And some schools are characterized. For example, I can speak here for Georgia because we live in Georgia. But for example, if you hear Emory University, which is where Jennifer went, they're known for their medicine program or like their nursing schools or all the things that have to do with medicine.
Yes.
If you hear schools like Georgia Tech, well, of course it says it in the name, they're known for technology. Schools like UGA are also known really well for their business program. So kind of wherever you want to go, you can research what those schools are known for, and that way it can help you pick a school. And know that even if your school is like nursing, but they also may have a really good, business program, just make sure that you're involved knowing what you want to pursue and that your school offers what you want to pursue.
The second thing you want to analyze is whether your school is public or if it's private. Public schools are really great if you're into sports. They're a lot bigger. They offer more majors. It's a greater variety. But they also get their funding from the government. So resources for financial things are more strained because more people are applying for those resources. Private schools, I don't know if you want to talk about private schools.
Yeah, so private schools, Jenni and I actually both go and went to private schools. And the cool thing about them is that they tend to be smaller and they also tend to be more selective. So they'll probably have higher GPA requirements, higher SAT, ACT scores. They also cost more to attend these schools, but you get a more personalized education. You get a lot more contact with your professors because it's a smaller student body. You get to know them, get to interact with them in office hours, and it's great. It really is great. And then they also offer you a lot more resources, and because it's a small amount of students, they offer more aid, financial aid for you to go to those schools.
Yes, awesome. So speaking about costs, let's talk about how much does it cost to go to college, what are the financial aid regulations and things that you have to do, and also what are the scholarships that they offer. When you consider in university, you have to look at the cost. How much does it cost for me to go there? How much do my parents have to pay? And so you want to find the best price. Know that there is in-state tuition and out-of-state tuition. If I'm in Atlanta and I'm trying to go to school in California, I'm going to be paying out-of-state tuition, and that's a lot more money than if I were to go to a school here in Georgia. So you also want to make sure that you're considering schools in-state and out-of-state. Another thing that's so important is, of course, financial aid. This is how you let the government know that you need that financial aid from them. It doesn't matter if you're going to a public school or a private school, you're going to need to fill out your FAFSA, which is your financial aid form. Some schools require something else called a CSS profile. You're also going to need to fill that out when you're applying to college, so that's really important. And then I want to explain that financial aid is different than scholarships. Financial aid is what the government gives you, so it includes grants, it includes certain endowments that people have, but scholarships are things that you literally apply for outside of your school. So there's scholarships that are offered within your high school, within the college, but there are also big general scholarships. So you always want to make sure that you're applying to as many scholarships, whether big or small, because they're the ones that are really going to help you pay the balance between whatever the government gives you and whatever the rest of the cost is.
And some important things that Jenni touched on, FAFSA. So it opens in October. I do not remember if it's the 1st or the 6th of October, and it doesn't close until June. That's a very wide range gap, but if you're a senior, so you're going to be turning your applications in about November, the schools are going to require your FAFSA. So in other words, as soon as it comes out, fill it out. You need your parents' tax documents, you need all these things, and if they have a link to the IRS, it fills all that stuff out for you and it makes the process super breezy. So be sure to get that done as soon as possible. And then Jenni also touched a little bit about scholarships. So you have different types of scholarships, big name ones, Coca-Cola Scholarship, Questbridge, which is for low-income students. You have Hispanic Scholarship Fund if you're Hispanic, all different types. And we're going to talk about this a little bit later on, but keep your options open. Your school also offers community scholarships of $5,000, $2,000, $500, which helps for books. So keep your options open. There's a lot of things out there available for you guys.
Awesome. So another thing that you want to consider is the location of the school. Do I like the city that I'm going to be moving to? Do I feel inspired by the city? Do they have better opportunities for me once I graduate? Do I feel safe? Those are all really, really important things. If you're a beach person, maybe Alaska is not the right place for you. And if you love the cold, maybe Florida is not the best place for you. So you want to make sure that you pick a college where you enjoy your surroundings, because you're going to be spending a lot of time walking from class to class, interacting with other people. And if it's -0, then well, that's not
You're
a
not
number.
gonna be outside.
Yeah, but you don't want to be outside, so that's really, really important.
Funny story for me, when I was looking for school, I like trees. I was like, God, I really want a school that has trees. And Barry is the largest campus in the world, and it's beautiful, full of trees everywhere.
Yeah. So that's really important. Your location matters. And also, I want Kira to touch a little bit about culture and diversity within the school.
For sure. So important thing to note is that every school has its own individual culture. So some schools, because they're bigger, because they're public, will tend to be party schools. Mm-hmm. Now, I guess this goes in both ways, but as Christians, it's good to know your surroundings. If you know that you have a weak spot for these things, then don't put yourself in that atmosphere. But if you know that you want to go there, I know some schools that are major party schools, but they have strong CMI chapters and they're winning people for God left and right.
Yes.
So know your culture. And then another thing is diversity. So my high school was highly diverse. Barry as a school is not super diverse, but I don't feel left out because I've been given that opportunity to interact with a lot of cultures through the church and stuff. So I'm okay with being
even if the school is not as diverse, the culture of the school makes you feel included. Mm-hmm. And I think that that's really important because you can go to school that's very diverse, but no one feels included. So analyzing the diversity and analyzing the inclusion, it's really important when you go, and you just want to have fun. Like, having fun is not just partying. There are so many other options that you can do while you're in college to enjoy your time there.
And the other thing to help you out with that is go on campus tours or campus visits. For example, Barry, and I'm sure Emory has something like this. Yeah. You can do overnight stays, go to classes, interact with the students to help you kind of broaden your vision if this is the school for you or not. I highly recommend that. It's a lot of fun.
And then there are even schools that will fly you to their school so you can check it out. I remember when I was in high school, I got flown over to Bates College, which I actually forgot. I think it's above New York.
Maine, right?
In Maine. It's in Maine. So they flew me over. I got to stay there and visit the school. So it was a really cool experience. I didn't go there, but hey, I got a free trip. So you might as well look for opportunities that will fly you there too.
For sure. And then I guess I'll start a little bit on the application process. So as you guys most likely know, there are three main avenues that you can apply for college. Those are through Common App, Coalition application, and then sometimes schools will offer their independent application. Cool thing about Common App and Coalition is that you fill out one application, and the only thing that changes from college to college are your essays. Yes. So you'll have a main essay that you have to write, and then you'll have whatever supplements the school gives you. But it's not terrible. Mm-hmm. Only thing I would say is give yourself time when you're working on these applications. Don't rush them. If it's due, I don't know, in December, which is when usually most of the regular decision, January, are due. Just give yourself time as you're writing them and make sure that
have someone look over them.
For sure.
Have your parents, if they speak English. In our case, our parents didn't speak English, but we had other people in our communities that spoke English and they were able to read it. And even, like, let's just say this as an immigrant, like, your parents might not be able to speak English, and that's okay, but they also know a lot of things. So maybe you can talk to them about what you want to write, and they can give you ideas. Them not knowing the language doesn't mean that they can help you. So I just wanted to throw that out there.
Yeah, use your parents as resources, respect them, and then your siblings. Jenni helped me out a lot through my college application process. She doesn't have an older sibling, but she used her high school counselors a lot to help her through this process. So just reach out to anybody who is willing to help you out with this.
And my recommendation letters came from school and also from lovely ladies at the church. I'll throw one of them out here, Sister Stacy. She was such a great help with writing my recommendation letters. So use your community as a resource to help you out. So let's talk about actually filling out the application. So you're going to need, I think, 5 things to fill it out. So you're going to need your transcript, you're going to need recommendation letters, usually 2 or 3. You're going to need your SATs and SAT scores. You don't have to take both, but you can take one of them. And I know with the SAT, I don't know if it's still legal anymore, but I know that you could super score and get one rounded number. You have your essays, and then you have your application fees. So, transcripts, again, make sure that you do well. Recommendations, like Karol said, talk to your counselors, talk to your teachers, have them write good recommendations. One thing that I would say is get a teacher that knows you to write your recommendation letter. Don't ask the smartest teacher, the coolest teacher. If they don't know you, they're literally not going to say good things about you. I've seen it. Carol works in admissions, I've worked in admissions, they will say it like it is. So make sure you get someone that really knows you.
And then to that, recommendation letters, each teacher has their own policy, but the baseline is 2 weeks. Give them 2 weeks to write a recommendation letter.
Or even a month.
So if you have to turn in your application, let's say in January, if you have to turn it in earlier for early decision or whatever it is, give them time to write it. Please don't go last minute. So if you're a senior in the upcoming year, give yourself a calendar. I'm sure Jenni's going to talk about this, but we can even set up an academic calendar, things you should be doing each month to make sure that you're on track. And I'm sure schools even offer those resources.
Awesome. So yeah, and then your SATs, your ACTs. I know that now they're not as important as they were back in the day, but you still want to do good.
Mm-hmm.
There are courses online, free resources where you can take practice tests and just making sure that you're getting the highest score possible. And then of course your essays. One of my friends said she got into Yale and she was like, paint the picture, paint it. Let them know when they're reading that essay, like let them visualize your life, so that they like know who you are and they'll see if you're a great fit for their school. And then the last thing you want to do is know that every school you apply to usually has an application fee. There are some times where you can waive that fee, but for the most part, every school has an application fee. So if you're applying to 10 schools and they each charge you $100, know that that's $1,000 that you have to budget just so that you can apply.
So the other thing is, if it depends on your school. If you're a low-income student, they usually have more resources available for you. So that's why it's also important to talk to your counselors. They can waive your SAT charges, like what you have to pay for the SAT, what you have to pay for the ACT, and they can also waive a couple of your college application fees, and some schools will just waive them for you. Also, if you're a student where a school is pursuing you, they'll probably give you a preferred student application, and they'll waive your fee. Like, there's so many different aspects of it, but there are resources that can help you pay for these fines or fees if you can't pay for them.
That's awesome. And then one last thing that we just wanted to reiterate, deadlines. Deadlines are so important. And like Karol was mentioning, there's early decision and regular decision. When you apply early to a school, you're letting them know that that's the school that you want to go to. So people usually apply to those early November or early December. And then regular decision is usually due like on the 1st of January.
January 15th.
Oh, 15th. Okay, January 15th. So just make sure that you keep those deadlines straight, and please don't miss them. Don't be late. And then know that while you're applying to your college applications, your scholarship applications, the big national ones, are usually due at the same time. So you're gonna have a keeping score of all the scholarships and then a keeping score of all the applications so that you don't miss those deadlines. So like Karol was saying, like I have created this really simple Excel document that really helped me with my application for grad school. It's an Excel document that lists like name of the school, costs, do you apply, recommendation letters, are they turned in? So it just kind of helped me keep everything in one place. So I'm gonna leave it down below. You guys can click on it, download it, make it as colorful and as funny and as cute as you want it to be, but make sure that you just use it as a resource so that you can keep up with all of your work. So
for sure. And it would be great also if we could do that timeline. So like let's say from junior year all the way to senior year, like what things you should be doing so you know that you're on track for school. And then after you have done all these things and given in all your applications, all you have to do now is sit back and pray and consider and enjoy all the things that you've gotten and say, okay, go back to costs. Is this a school that I can afford? What else do I need to do? Do I want to take out loans? You don't want a lot of debt for undergrad because then you're going to want to pursue a master's or a PhD or anything else that exists. So just be mindful of that. But more than anything, keep your options open. Pray. I can't stress that enough. Pray, because we pray to prayer, Lord, open the right doors, close the wrong ones. And he did it. He closed them. But we ended up at the schools we needed to be at. So just pray, and if there is a will, and if it's God's will, he'll make a way. So you don't need to worry about that. But do your part, apply for scholarships, do what you need to do, and God will do the rest.
And then finally, just decide the school that you want to go to. When you decide, you want to make sure that you give in that deposit before the deadline, of course,
please.
So that you're counted as one of the students. So that's really important. Make sure that they receive your financial aid. And then usually around late April to early May, sometimes June, you'll start receiving your financial aid packet, which will tell you how much they're covering. Sometimes they give you that packet as soon as you get accepted to school. Sometimes they'll wait a little bit more. So it depends on the school, but you also just want to make sure that you receive that so that you know exactly how much you have to pay. And then if classes start in August, the final payment is probably due July. So just keep all of those things in mind as well.
Okay. And the final part of this video is dedicated to our undocumented students or our international students as well.
Yes, and our dreamers, as we like to call them.
Yes.
So if you're undocumented, but you want to go to college, that is totally a possibility.
It is.
There are so many schools that are willing to pay not only for your actual like tuition, but they want to pay for your roomie and your board and all of those things that you want to consider.
And just to mention, if you're in Georgia, Emory, I believe, receives undocumented students. Oglethorpe University receives undocumented students. Derry receives undocumented students. So there are schools that are of quality education,
yes,
that are willing to receive you and even give you aid to go to those schools.
Yeah, so just because you don't have papers or documents doesn't mean that you can't get that education.
Don't let that be a label for you. You can do it.
Yeah, so know that I'm going to link a lot of links below that's going to talk about the process and the schools and people, organizations that you can reach out to that can give you more assistance in that. And then if you're an international student, I love
great international friends.
Yeah,
they're awesome.
We have a lot of international students, and we have a lot of undocumented friends too, because they're obviously Colombian and our church is mostly Hispanic. So we love them and we support them. And so, anyways, international students. International students, basically your process is very similar, but there are two major changes or differences. One, you need to get a visa, so it depends on the country. Some countries require a longer visa than others. You know, that really, I'll leave the links below that talk about the visa process because I don't really know it. And then two, you're gonna need to take an exam called the TOEFL exam, which will analyze the level of reading that you have for like the classes needed in America. So if your level is on point, that's good to go. If your level is not so good, then they're going to need you to take the exam again and study English so that when you come, it's not such a shock. I know that, for example, Emory, for students that had never taken classes fully just in English, they had special classes for English as a second language. And even while they were in college, they were still able to get that extra assistance with their papers and stuff like that. So if you are an international student, just make sure that you analyze those two things. And then one last thing is, there are some international scholarships that can bring you from different countries, but for the most part you're gonna have to pay out of pocket. So just know that that is going to be a cost, but if you have the money, that's amazing. Come study in the United States. We have great colleges, but if you don't have the resources, I know that there are some scholarships that can bring you here. And if that's not a possibility, then go to college in your country and then do study abroad here in the United States. And I know that there's a Fulbright program that usually, you know, Americans go to other countries, but there's a flip side to it where they want students from other countries
Isn't it like
to
the exchange program. Sometimes they exchange students as well.
Yeah, sometimes exchange students just from all over the world. So make sure that you take those opportunities. And then, you know, the last thing I wanted to add is that college is what you make out of it. If you go to a prestigious school but you don't do well, like, that's on you. And if you go to a community college but you do extraordinarily, that's on you. Like, college is what you make out of it. It doesn't matter. The prestige doesn't really matter. At the end of the day, I am going to work for the same company that the kid that went to a community college went to work. So, like, honestly, it doesn't really matter after, but it matters what you do in college. So whether you go to the most prestigious school or you go to your community college and you put all the love and all the effort, you're gonna do amazing. So I just wanted to throw that out there.
For sure. Yeah, just give it your all. It doesn't matter who you are or where you are. If you give it your 100%, you're gonna get something so beautiful out of it. Because there's students who do go to amazing schools and they don't stop studying because, you know, that's the culture of the school, or they don't get what they want out of college. They end up stressed. But if you go to that place where God said, you know, this is where I want you to be, and you give it your 110%, you're gonna be all right. So. Yeah,
and then in our case, God has been the one who has opened all of our doors. He has supplied for all of our finances. We've gotten to travel across the world. We've gotten to study abroad. Well, Carol's
Like,
almost you know, we're also, I don't know when you're going to be watching this, but right now we're going through COVID-19 and the quarantine process, and so everyone's home. We're studying from home, working from home, and all those things. So anyways, but college is an amazing opportunity. Take advantage of it, and you're going to be very blessed, and pray, and God will open those doors.
For sure.
Yeah.
Well, it was great being on here. I hope that you guys use this information, share with anyone who needs it, and see you guys next time.
Okay, bye.
Bye.